Welcome to this week's episode of Merricks Garage, testing out the new suspension over at Hungry Valley Off-Road Vehicle Park. Before we get into all those shenanigans, I do want to point out all the manufacturers and companies that make this show what it is. They're all listed down below. Everything from Milwaukee Tool, DIY 4x, Bilston, Eaton, Off-Road Designs, Double H Boots, Heat Shield Products, E-Box Springs. There's a ton of cool stuff in the links down below. I ask that you guys would go check it out. Give the companies a like. Give them some love because they help support this channel. They help support the off-road industry. And they keep putting kick-ass stuff out there that I keep having to buy. It's killing me. Speaking of buying stuff, my Amazon store is also linked down below. I know a few of you have had trouble getting to it, but yeah, there's a lot of products linked in it. I think I've got the link fixed. Click on it. It takes you to the store. It's going to have all the stuff that I've been using, tools, all that kind of cool stuff. So I hope you guys find that helpful. And as a thank you to you guys, at the end of the show, I'm going to have details on how you guys can win a pair of Double H boots. I got a couple pairs of these boots. I love them. Bought my first pair over 5 years ago. I beat the snot out of them. And they're still as comfortable as slippers. They're a little long in the tooth. So stick around to the end of the show when I am going to tell you guys how a couple of you can win some boots of your choosing from Double H. It's going to be a good show today. I got what you guys are asking for. We'll go out and we wheel the truck. Stay tuned. Merrick's Garage. Peace! Hey, welcome to this episode of Merrick's Garage. I have something cool for you guys today. We are heading out to Hungry Valley Off-Road Vehicle Park, or Gorman as a lot of people call it. And we're going to be testing out all the new suspension and making sure that everything is working the way it should. So Hungry Valley's got some cool stuff in the fact that it's got a skills course that you can go to and just get your learn on, and it's got a rock garden, it's got ledges, it's got articulation tests, it's got all kinds of stuff. So we're just going to go and tool around out there and put the truck into some situations that we can get out and check articulation and clearances and drive shaft travel, bump stop placement, all the stuff that's difficult to replicate in your driveway. We're going to try and replicate out in a controlled environment before we get out in the middle of nowhere and break something or run into something that we should have anticipated and could have fixed. So I got my buddy Clay with me. He's rolling behind in his Jeep. We're going to have a blast. I do have some things that I'm aware of that are not perfectly dialed on the truck yet that we're going to get to. Let's just make a laundry list of those things right now. My bump stops need to be adjusted. I've got to get that dialed. They're not where I want them right now, but they work. So I will be moving those down to accommodate for the bottoming out of the shock as soon as I figure things out. I need to put some preload on my suspension. I don't have any preload on the coils right now, so that was basically to match ride height with the rear. I do need to fix that because I'm going through a lot of travel. And my steering needs some work. I need to cut the tab off of the axle where the ram mounts over by the driver's side knuckle, inner C, and flip those brackets over and mount them more outboard to give me more throw on the PSC hydraulic shaft, because right now it's not giving me enough articulation, not enough articulation. It's not giving me enough driving angle. I'm having to make like 8-point turns on stuff. My camber is at 4 degrees. I'd like to take it to 5 or 6 degrees. That would be preferable and ideal. And I want to check my toe. I checked my toe when I finally got the wheels on the last time, but I'm guessing that my toe might be a little aggressive, meaning that it just doesn't have much toe to it because the truck is wandering quite a bit on the freeway. It's a handful, let's put it that way. But that's all that I know. Hopefully this shakes out some more weak links and gives me some more things to just button down and dial in. But this is going to be a good time. I'm fired up to get it back in the dirt and test everything. And I'm glad you guys are coming along with me. Merrick's Garage, let's go get it. Hey, we made it out here without the truck exploding. So far, so good. Just made a quick little run up this little rock challenge here, but let me give you guys a quick look around. It's 10 acres, and it's been a long time since I've been here, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. I remember it being pretty tame, but I'm seeing they have built it up, and there's a lot of stuff that's just really cool to be able to like test out an obstacle without being 48 miles into the backcountry. So we got a little canyon climb up here. You can see in the distance over there, there's a bunch of concrete fixtures. You got this stair step over here that we just came up. Over there in the distance, you'll see what they call a little sluice box. Got some deep water wade points that have no water in them. We got this guy down here. Yeah, perfect day. Good weather. Nice and clear. Not too cold. Yeah. It's gonna be a good time.
What this terrain park lacked in technical and size, it made up in variety. There's so much stuff in a few acres that allows you to bounce from breakover angle tests to articulation tests to mini rock gardens to frame twisters. This is just a horseshoe of concrete conduits that basically at alternating lengths are gonna test your wheelbase, test the stability and control of your frame, test the articulation and control that you get with your throttle and your steering. And it's just a really good place to figure out your weak links. I did mount the camera underneath because it is freaking awesome, but also it gave me insight into how things are moving. I know they're moving well, I can feel it, but being able to visualize it and see that the bump stops are not massively impacting the strike pads at every bump, that the axle is remaining locked and not popping out of gear, that there is no frame flex where the links mount to the frame, that the cross member is doing its job, that the CV joint isn't hitting the cross member. Everything has a purpose, and being able to visualize it is really pretty cool.
super fired up right now. Boom, this is so cool. Top step, full articulation, everything's good, no leaking fluids, not rubbing that bad, pretty fired up. Got a couple little things I'm gonna tend to during lunch, but man, for my first run out, I gotta say I am super happy. It's working better than I had hoped. Lunch is over. Everything's good. We're not gonna push our luck. We got one more obstacle I want to try for today.
Once I realized and had confidence that my truck wasn't going to explode or snap, I was able to start tackling some more complex obstacles, and that is what made this park so much fun. There wasn't a ton of variety, but what they had enabled you to try multiple different lines. So this line right here, I discovered that I needed to get my driver's side front up on that slab that's currently under my differential. Now I couldn't see it, and so it took quite a few times before, it was recognized that that was the line that was needed. Now this is what I love about rock crawling. Every vehicle is going to be different. Different tires, different weight distribution, different wheelbase, different power plant. It often can make different lines work better for different vehicles, and the more you do this, the more you learn what your truck's good at, where it's going to excel, and what line works for it. So as you can see, it took me a few times before I realized that I needed to hook onto this platform here and pull myself up, but it worked. Good times, good times. Immediately to the right of the previous obstacle was what I considered the easier line that bypassed that little rock slab, but did deposit you directly in the middle of the trail when you got to the rock garden up top. And that rock garden had some decent sized boulders and pits for you to climb through. It was a little bit challenging, the fact that you would get your rear tire, as you can see, just jammed down into this hole, and your front tire was still trying to clamber up onto another rock. I was able to get through eventually. It took some work. Good spotter helped, and a capable truck. Did I mention I was really stoked on how this day went? By trying again with a more passenger side approach, I was able to crawl up this thing and conquer the last obstacle. I was fired up. Truck hadn't broken. I climbed everything I wanted to climb. Everything was looking good. It was time to rally home. This was a really cool obstacle. I'm really stoked on how the truck did on it. It was a challenge. You know, I'm not gonna lie and pretend that this was the most gnarly obstacle in the world, but it was the gnarliest thing I've hit in my truck since I built it. And it was bigger than it appeared. You can see right here in the shot coming up that Clay standing in the hole that hung up my tire. He's a 6 foot tall dude, and so you can see that was a pretty big rock to climb up. It was a challenge, good spotting help, like I mentioned earlier. We were able to get Clay and his Rubicon up to about this point where he got hung up. Wheelbase, and specifically tires, 40s versus 35s made a big difference here. So we pulled out his winch, hooked him up to the K30 Blazer, and pulled him out. No harm, no foul. Rock and roll. Ain't this how it always goes? The obstacle that I thought was going to be rather easy proved to be my undoing. I think I had some adrenaline going here and a heightened sense of accomplishment because nothing had gone wrong, that I completely spaced that I did not have a skid plate under my transfer case and that my rear brake line was still hanging in the breeze. So like a bozo, I just charged into this, and it wasn't until I got high-centered on the second one that I started to think, hey, maybe I should check out underneath and make sure I'm not banging up all that stuff that doesn't have any protection. Well, yeah, there it is. I was banging it up and dragging it over this concrete thing. So I decided prudence was the best course of action, and after monkeying around with it for about 15 minutes trying to get myself off, I surrendered and hooked up the winch to a Jeep, and he pulled me out. With a skid plate, I think I would have been able to just glide over this. Hopefully with a skid plate, it would have allowed me to pivot a little bit more. But yeah, you can see I kept on trying and trying and trying, but I realized that sooner or later I was going to bounce down on my transfer case and do some not happy stuff to it. So pulled out the winch, pulled me off, and kept on going. I don't have a skid plate on my transfer case yet, and I'm real close to sitting on it, so I'm gonna winch out right now. I completely spaced my skid plate. So, I got tired of constantly having to connect up my winch, so I ran it directly through the firewall to the winch. So we're connected now. I just need to go flip the clutch over.
We are back now from the break-in trip to Gorman, and I wanted to give you guys just a quick tour of the damage. There wasn't really any significant damage. I mean, what you're going to see here is just what I consider some awesome trail paint up on that drag link tie rod. You'll see I got some scrapes. Bashed up the diff cover pretty good right here. Well, it's exactly what it's for, so pretty stoked on how everything held up under here. Nothing damaged, nothing loose, nothing showing signs of excessive wear or anything like that. Let me show you what I'm dealing with. This has become a problem. Essentially what happens is it just gets too tight. And even though I have clearance down here, you can see I have clearance between the panhard bracket and the pitman arm, but what happens is with the slightest bit of forward loading, it binds the pitman arm to that panhard bracket and I can't turn. So it's not really that big of a deal unless you're coming into something steep and you do need to turn, and then you can't. So that is the problem I've been dealing with the steering. We got to get that fixed, and I'll show you what I mean down on the ram on the bracket here. Take a look at this. I just need to move it over. I'm giving up about what, 2 inches by positioning it where I am. I need to change that, and then you'll see it's also hitting the diff cover over there. So yeah, that diff cover took some abuse this trip. Sliders did their jobs. I mean, nothing significant, but a little bit of damage on the slider. Perfect. I flattened my brake line. This is a joke. I'm almost embarrassed to show you guys this. It's so terrible. I gotta fix that brake line. The track bar mount on the center of the frame held up nicely. I think I'm gonna build this skid plate between here. That's the plan with all that. Took some rock damage, very minimal on these link arms. More slider damage, but that's what it's for. Tire is rubbing on this. That's not ideal. I would like to fix that. Got an issue right here. I didn't realize that this junction had come loose, and so there was quite a lot of trans fluid leaking out, and you can see discoloring the thermal sleeve I've got. And oh, and then this is embarrassing too. The nut, the bolt head is clipping the spring, so I'm gonna have to fix that. More protection, the better. Skid plate, fix that steering. I think that's it until I really, move on to the phase 4 of this project. But I'm very happy with how it came out. That was a ton of fun. Wheeling the truck and putting it in all these situations was super cool. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Now, let's get you guys hooked up with some Double H boots. In the video you just watched, I pointed out pretty much everything that went wrong with the truck. Although, when I was editing it, I noticed that I had one glaring omission that, if you paid attention in the video, you're going to see there's something that I had to do a quick trail fix on, and I didn't mention it. So, hit me up in the email. You can find my email very easily. It's james@merricksgarage.com. Let me know what I spaced on including in the video, and if you have an idea of what it was and how I fixed it. And then second part, I'm going to show you guys a part on my Dana 60 axle, and I want you to tell me what it's for. So I'm not just giving away these boots to any Johnny-come-lately who comes and checks out the channel. This is going to be for you guys who are with me from the beginning and have been helping me grow this thing. So let's take a walk out to the truck. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. Hit me up at my email with an answer to the 2 questions. What else went wrong with my truck? And what are these 2 parts for? And I will pull someone randomly to give them a pair of boots. On either side of the diff, you will see 2 indented circles. Email me and tell me what those are for. james@merricksgarage.com. Also, go check out Double H Boots. Give them a like on Instagram, Facebook. And let's go get you guys some boots. Merricks Garage.